É tipo real presaço.
Take me back to old Yazoo. Everything up here is new. I can't stand it, just must land it.
One of the most famous TikToker in the world, Natalia Valente, is known for her entertaining content. But in this particular video, she ventured into something far more eerie. Joined by a group of friends, she decided to explore an abandoned asylum, documenting their adventure on camera. The group wandered through the decaying property, making their way toward the old morgue, unaware that they were about to capture something deeply unsettling.
Tá bem assim o negócio. Jesus, olha a entrada. Olha a entrada que a gente vai entrar. Entramos. Gente do céu. Bom, a gente tá na ala branca, que é a mais tranquila. Tem várias alas, enfim. Bom, essa é a ala branca, lá até o final. Tipo, tem muita coisa ainda.
At first, the footage seems like any other urban exploration video. Abandoned hallways, broken windows, and the eerie silence of a place long forgotten. However, as the camera pans across the building, something chilling is briefly caught on film. In the shattered windows of the upper floor, several ghostly figures can be seen watching them from the shadows. Their expressions are blank, almost zombie-like, and their presence is so fleeting that it's easy to miss at first. But when the footage is slowed down, it becomes clear that something, an asylum, drawn to the noise of the group below. While this is a logical explanation, it doesn't make the sight any less disturbing. The idea that unknown individuals could be silently stalking them from the darkness without making their presence known is just as terrifying as a ghostly encounter. Whether these figures were spirits of the asylum's past or something more tangible, the footage remains undeniably creepy.
Before moving forward, I'll really appreciate if you would take some time to subscribe to the channel and join this amazing community. About 95% of you guys aren't subscribed. It's free, plus I got a surprise for you all once we reach 50,000 subscribers. Now, back to the video.
In 2022, a group of urban explorers from the Decaying Ace YouTube channel ventured into Huron Place, a long-abandoned high-rise in Cleveland, Ohio. The building, once intended for affordable housing, had been left to rot for years. Fires, vandalism, and years of neglect had reduced it to a decaying skeleton of its former self. But despite its ruined state, the explorers quickly realized that they were not alone. The lower floors were filled with debris, charred furniture, shattered windows, and personal belongings left behind by former residents. Graffiti covered the walls, some of it looking recent. Burned papers, old maintenance records, and even a floppy disk were scattered across the floor. At first, it felt like any other abandoned location. Quiet, eerie, but nothing unusual. However, as they continued, a deep sense of unease settled in. There was no sound except for their own footsteps, and yet something felt off.
What? Oh my gosh. You're telling me there's still furniture left in here that someone hasn't thrown out? Oh man, the hardwood floors too.
Man, I'd say there's a door doing.
There was definitely a fire started in here.
This is kind of cool, and we found some furniture, which means we might find more.
Yeah, I mean, as far as abandoned places goes, this is down there. We just didn't want to leave Cleveland without going. This looks like a storage room, so. Oh my gosh, it's a floppy disk. That thing is ancient, dude.
Ancient text spoke of such artifacts.
A lot of paper. Look at all that paper. Here's another one. AME March 25th, 2001. Parkland Apartments.
That's plastic.
Park Lane Apartments.
No way. These are the tenants that live here.
Yeah.
I'll bet you a lot of this stuff. So. Royce Robinson, McKinney. Oh, some McKinley.
While exploring, they found fresh signs of activity. The thought of encountering squatters wasn't particularly alarming, but something about this place made them feel like they weren't just intruding on an empty space. Then, as they moved on to the 13th floor, something happened that confirmed their worst fear. One of the explorers leaned over the stairwell to capture footage of the floors below. As they aimed their camera downward, at the bottom of the stairwell, a figure stood completely still, looking straight up at them. Panic set in immediately. Whoever this was, they weren't making themselves known. They weren't calling out. They weren't moving. They were just standing there. They had no idea whether this person was dangerous, armed, or simply another explorer. But one thing was clear. They needed to leave. Now, descending the stairs was agonizingly slow.
Explain what just happened.
So I peeked my head over the stairs because I wanted to get a cool shot, because there's like a million floors. And when I looked over, there was a person all the way at the bottom looking back up at me.
So there's someone else in here.
Yes, and it freaked me out.
Time to go look. We are currently making a quick exit because there are other people in here and we don't know what they want, so...
Okay, let's go. Oh God, I'm out of breath.
Due to the sound echoing through the empty halls, it was impossible to tell if someone was following them. The thought of the figure below waiting for them at the exit kept them on edge. When they finally reached the ground floor, relief started to sink in. But then something even worse happened. One of them turned to look back at the building before leaving, and that's when they saw it. Standing on a balcony on one of the upper floors, two figures were watching them. It was no longer just one person lurking in the shadows. Now, there were two. Without waiting to find out what would happen next, the group bolted to their car and sped away.
See anyone? No. It took us 2.5 minutes to walk down those stairs. Todd, your car's this way. God. It looked like two kids. 18 to 24. These people made it obvious that we weren't welcome there, so we made a quick escape. This is something you always have to be aware of when urban exploring, especially with buildings like this that are frequented by drug dealers and criminals. Always be aware of your surroundings.
Who were those people? Had they simply been squatters trying to scare them off? Or was it something else? As always, let your thoughts be known in the comments. To this day, the group has no explanation for what happened. The YouTube channel Walking Cam is known for their solo explorations of eerie and abandoned locations. In one of their most unsettling videos, uploaded on October 20th, 2024, they ventured into Devil's Hairbrush, a swamp deep in the Pine Barrens of New Jersey. This location has a dark reputation, filled with the unsettling folklore and stories of the Jersey Devil, as well as strange disappearances. The landscape itself is unsettling. Dead Atlantic white cedar trees, stripped of their bark, stand like skeletal figures in the darkness, creating an almost unnatural atmosphere. From the very beginning, Walking Cam notes how eerily silent the swamp is. Normally, even at night, forests are alive with ambient noises, crickets chirping, distant animal calls, or the rustling of leaves in the wind. But here, there is nothing. The total absence of sound makes the place feel wrong, as though something is suppressing all noise, creating an overwhelming sense of isolation. As they move deeper into the swamp, the sensation of being watched grows stronger. The lifeless trees stand tall, their pale forms illuminated by the dim glow of the flashlight. Every step forward feels like stepping into the unknown. Then, suddenly, the silence is broken. At first, it's subtle, a rustling noise in the distance, barely loud enough to be noticed. But soon, it becomes clear that something is mirroring their movements. Every time they stop walking, the sound stops too. It resumes only when they move forward again, as if something or someone is following them, staying just out of sight. Then, an even stranger phenomenon occurs. Out of nowhere, something is thrown into the water. A loud splash echoes through the swamp, breaking the unnatural stillness. At first, they assume it might be an animal or debris falling from a tree, but just moments later, another splash follows, and then another. This isn't random. Something is deliberately being thrown into the water nearby. Their flashlight scans the trees, trying to find the source of the disturbance. But no matter where they look, nothing is there. The water is eerily still. Aside from the ripples left behind by the unknown splashes, the unsettling realization begins to set in. Whatever made the sound didn't want to be seen. Determined to figure out what's happening, they cautiously approach the area where the noises originated. Their boots sink slightly into the damp ground as they move closer to the water's edge, their flashlights slicing through the darkness. But when they get there, they find nothing. No movement, no figures hiding among the trees, just the oppressive silence and the vast empty swamp stretching out before them. A wave of unease washes over them. If it were an animal, they would have heard it moving by now. If it were a person, they should have seen some sign of their presence. But instead, there is only emptiness. It feels as though the swamp itself is playing tricks on them, distorting reality, making them question what they're experiencing. The longer they stay, the heavier the air feels, as if an unseen force is urging them to leave. They stand still, listening, waiting, hoping that whatever is out there will reveal itself. But the only response is one final noise. The sharp snap of a branch just a few feet behind them. That was enough. Without hesitation, they turn around and make their way back. The eerie swamp had already played too many tricks on them, and the sense of something lurking nearby, just beyond their flashlight's reach, was enough to convince them that they were not alone. Whatever the case was, one thing is certain: Devil's Hairbrush is not a place to be alone at night.
Guys, we are back. We were back here at the Skinwalker Forest.
Don't sleep here.
Oh, dude, no way. Guys, there's something outside the tent.
Hurst Urban, a solo camper, set out on an overnight trip in a secluded forest, intending to test a spirit communication device near a reportedly haunted lake. With his camera rolling, he documented every step of his journey, not expecting that the night would unfold into something far more chilling than he had anticipated. After arriving at his chosen campsite, he wasted no time setting up his gear. The sun was still up, giving him enough daylight to explore before nightfall. The area was peaceful, though eerily quiet, with no signs of other hikers or campers nearby.
We were back here at the Skinwalker Forest, the big Skinwalker Forest that we have out here. So, yeah, it looks like I am the only person so far, I don't want to jinx it, knock on wood, I'm the only person out here camping today. Hopefully it stays that way so we have a nice, peaceful, well, not too peaceful evening because that'd be boring, but a nice evening. Got my tent, got the chairs, got everything ready to go. Looking pretty bare bones out here. Got a fire pit, and that's about, and a lot of mud. We got a lot of mud. That's about it. Oh wait, there's a, I think that's, yo, is that it? Oh, I thought it was a bald eagle for a second, but it's, I think, a turkey vulture or a buzzard or whatever they're called. Yeah, I seriously thought that was a bald eagle for a second because I am right by a lake. So, and I know bald eagles are around bodies of water, but.
As the evening progressed, he decided to venture to the nearby lake, a spot known for paranormal activity. He had read reports of unexplained occurrences around the water, and now he wanted to experience it for himself. The trail leading to the lake was difficult, but when he finally arrived, the view was breathtaking yet unsettling.
It's like not a difficult trail to climb down. It's just everything's so muddy and soft right now, though. Still see a little bit of ice out there. All right, let's do some spirit talk out this way and see if we hear anything. What do you guys think?
He placed his spirit communication device on a wooden surface and began his session. As he asked if any spirits were present, an unexpected and terrifying sound cut through the silence. A scream, coming from across the lake. It was distant, yet loud enough to send a wave of fear through him. He froze, unsure of what he had just heard. At that exact moment, his device displayed a message. It read, "My voice is heard."
Are you still here with me right now? Whoever I was speaking to? Are you still here? Oh, dude, no way. Dude, you gotta be kidding me. Is that the woman that you were talking about? Dude, I heard a perfect scream come from on the absolute other side of the lake, dude. That was loud too. That was like stupid loud. No way. Was that you? That was just screaming right now? I don't think I even need. Or was that the woman that you were warning me about? Because it said that. It said like, watch out for the woman. And then we.
Oh boy.
Oh no! You gotta be kidding me. No, dude, holy shh. Dude, I can't even make this up if I wanted to. Dude, I cannot even make this up if I wanted to.
The coincidence was too perfect to ignore. He had barely begun asking questions, and already the device was responding in a way that aligned with what he had just experienced. He tried to steady his nerves, asking if the spirit could identify itself. Suddenly, he heard movement behind him, the unmistakable sound of branches snapping and footsteps crunching on the forest floor. He turned around instantly, scanning the tree line, but saw nothing. The sound had the weight of a person walking, yet no one was there. Then another message read, "I can make it cold." As if on cue, a sudden chill surrounded him.
What is in your hand?
What is in your hand? I have a camera in my hand, and I have a device that I can use to communicate with you in my other hand if you'd like to. Oh, dude, what was that? Hello? Someone up there? I definitely just heard, like, sticks breaking up there. Like somebody walking.
Ralph.
Ralph? Ralph Cifaretto. Hello? Like, I definitely heard steps back there. And it was like, it was loud enough that, like, it sounded like somebody was walking through here. Like, that's exactly what it sounded like, was somebody was walking through this part of the forest. But there's obviously no path.
The temperature had already been low, but this felt unnaturally cold, almost like a presence had settled around him. At that moment, he glanced at the path leading back to his campsite, only to realize the situation had gotten worse. The mud had thickened, making the trail nearly impassable. Each step he had taken earlier was now covered in slick, deep mud, threatening to trap him if he attempted to move too quickly. With no other choice, he carefully retraced his steps, moving cautiously to avoid getting stuck.
It's just not reliable. Oh, excuse me. But, dude, when we get stuff like that, it's absolutely, like, that's crazy. Like, how can that be a coincidence? Hearing a scream and then getting my voices heard, like, I mean, I guess anything's possible. It could be a coincidence, but, like, this doesn't seem that way. Hello? Heard something back here, but I think it's some sort of small mammal. Okay, I'm gonna get back to the site, warm up, we'll continue the investigation.
Once he was far enough from the lake, the air seemed to lighten. The unease remained, but the overwhelming pressure he had felt near the water started to fade. By the time he reached his tent, he was still rattled, but relieved to be away from whatever had been lingering near the lake. He spent the rest of the night inside his tent, listening carefully for any more strange sounds. Though the experience had shaken him, nothing else happened for the remainder of his trip. The following morning, he packed up and left the forest. Whatever had been near the lake that night had made itself known. Whether it had been trying to communicate, warn him, or scare him away, he would never know. This next encounter comes from the YouTube channel Lord Explores, which is known for documenting abandoned places and forgotten locations, and sometimes even camping in them. In this video, uploaded on January 15th, 2024, the explorers set out to investigate an abandoned hotel, but what they found inside turned this from a routine exploration into a tense and unsettling experience. The hotel had been left to decay. As they stepped inside, the eerie silence was immediately noticeable. Despite being abandoned, there were clear signs that someone had been living there. Scattered belongings, old clothes, food wrappers, and cigarette butts were littered across the floors. Even more unsettling, a variety of personal items, including an ID card, were left behind as if the occupants had vanished in a hurry. As they moved deeper inside, they stumbled upon something far more disturbing. In one of the bathrooms, a bathtub was stained with what appeared to be blood.
A few of them are pretty tossed up. There's a couple that we saw that looks like some people were living in here. I don't know how long ago it was because it doesn't look like new stuff. Like there's this one laptop in this room. Let's see if I can find it. Oh yeah, here it is. It smells like cigarettes and there's a bunch of clothes. Check this stuff out. Almost looks like a school bag. And then there's the DVD player. Is that a... Oh my gosh.
Dude, read this.
What does it say? Look at this. It smells so bad in here. There's a sandwich. Look at this. There's a sandwich up there. This is crazy.
There's blood in the bathtub.
There's what?
Blood in the bathtub.
There's blood. That smells horrible.
Look at the spider webs.
The air was thick with a foul odor, making them question what had happened there. While they initially assumed the stains could be old, the rotting smell suggested otherwise. Then they found something even more chilling. A handwritten warning on one of the doors. It read, "Don't come in here. If you do, just be ready." The group exchanged uneasy glances. Had they just wandered into someone's territory? Was there someone still inside? Pushing forward, they continued exploring the vast, decaying structure. As they moved from room to room, they began hearing faint noises. At first, they thought it might be the building settling, but then they heard what sounded like footsteps above them. They weren't alone. In one of the long hallways, a dim glow caught their attention. Looking closer, they realized that a lantern was lit inside one of the rooms. This wasn't natural light from outside. Someone had turned it on. The realization hit them all. Someone was in the hotel with them. Their instincts told them to leave immediately.
That's kind of creepy. You see this?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry,
Yo. Let's go.
Where are we going? There's a staircase to the left.
Shit, there's a light on. Let's go, let's go.
And as they began making their way toward the exit, they started noticing small but significant changes. Objects that weren't there before had been moved. A lamp near the entrance, which hadn't been there when they first entered, was now sitting upright, as if someone had placed it there intentionally. Fresh footsteps in the dust indicated that someone had just walked through the same areas they had. And then, the final confirmation, a strong smell of cigarette smoke filled the air. Whoever had been inside was still close, possibly watching them the entire time.
Is that it?
I think that's it. I mean, I'm not about to find out who's up there. There's definitely someone, at least one person. And they had a light, like a lantern that was on. I don't know. Alright, so we went upstairs. And there was like a lantern on in one of the rooms. And one of the doors said, "Don't come in here." Bro, that was not there. That is a light that was not there. You want to get out of here? That definitely was not there. Here, give me your bag. Careful.
Oh, you didn't get wet.
Here. That was f***ing weird. Look at the little lamp.
That was not here either.
What the?
Who was redecorating when we were inside?
Dude.
I feel like we weren't even here that long.
There's a lamp upstairs. There's a lamp out here. There's a light that is on.
There's a light on right there.
Look. Now, those were not here when we came in. The footsteps going out. Look at them all.
They could no longer ignore the fact that they had unknowingly entered someone else's space, and whoever it was didn't want them there. Moving quickly but cautiously, they finally made their way out of the building, constantly looking over their shoulders to make sure they weren't being followed. By the time they reached safety, they were shaken by the experience. It was one thing to explore an abandoned location, but it was another to realize that you were being watched the entire time. To this day, they have no idea who was inside the hotel with them or what their intentions were. One thing was certain, they were lucky to have left unharmed. Experiences like these are the reasons that some places are abandoned for a reason. This footage comes from the YouTube channel Paranormal Discovery, uploaded on March 7th, 2025. The creator, Lomar, is known for his passion for urban exploration and paranormal investigations, often seeking out the most unsettling locations for his content. In this video, he embarks on a solo camping trip deep within a remote woodland, an area rumored to be haunted and linked to sightings of cryptids like Bigfoot or even the infamous Dogman. Lomar had been trying to access this particular stretch of wildland for months, finally finding an entrance days before filming. His goal was to camp deep in the woods, document his experience, and test his courage by staying until 3 a.m., a time often associated with heightened paranormal activity. As he ventures in, he remarks on the eerie atmosphere. The forest feels ancient, untouched, and unnervingly quiet.
Now I'm hoping we can actually find a proper camp area that's flat enough to actually set up the tent. So, we'll see. Good girl. It's kind of odd because a little bit's ice and then a little bit's kind of like that. Yeah, it's weird. It's converting into spring weather right now. So we have an odd mixture of both, kind of ice and ground. It already looks like extremely terrifying. I'm personally scared right now. Like the way the trees look. What does that sound? That was weird. It's like a rumble. Yeah. Yeah.
As night falls, the tension in the video becomes palpable. At first, things remain uneventful, but then, strange noises begin to echo in the distance. It starts as faint rustling, but soon after, a deep guttural howl cuts through the silence, sending chills through the otherwise still night. His unease deepens when his dog suddenly becomes alert, sniffing the air and staring into the darkness as if tracking something unseen.
It really could end up very, very intense. The thing is, I'm not really going to be going into night vision or any other camera but our adventure camera here. I do have the shotgun mic attached. This should catch sounds in the distance. So, I'm gonna head out here. All I have is just 11,000 plus acres, which I'm obviously not gonna go through in one night. I think there's I think there's some coyotes here. Something's telling me not to do this. Something's really telling me not to do this.
Lomar follows cautiously, feeling an increasing sense of dread as he notices branches snapping and the sound of something large moving nearby. At one point, he tries to communicate, calling out to whatever might be lurking in the shadows, but his voice is met with only more rustling and distant, unidentifiable noises. Despite his experience in the paranormal field, this situation is different. The sounds are too deliberate, too calculated, not the random movements of an animal, but rather something with intelligence, something tracking him. He shines his flashlight into the trees, scanning the dense foliage, but nothing appears in his line of sight. The oppressive darkness and the knowledge that something unseen is watching him make the moment even more unsettling.
Anyone out here?
I'm nasty.
You're nasty. Who are you? Man, being in a swamp in this weather is like a bad mix. It's just a horrible, horrible mix.
Run now.
What?
Then, a chilling event occurs. Something moves right outside his tent. The crunching of leaves and snapping of twigs indicate that whatever is out there has gotten much closer. His breathing becomes heavier as he listens intently, trying to determine if it's an animal, a person, or something far worse. The fear in his voice is evident as he tries to stay calm, whispering that he feels trapped inside his tent, unable to see what's lurking just beyond the fabric. Minutes pass, but the presence outside doesn't leave. Then, in a moment of pure terror, a loud thud shakes the ground nearby, almost as if something large has just stepped closer. His flashlight reveals nothing, but the intensity of the moment convinces him that whatever is out there is watching, waiting.
Stick's breaking. Something is outside of our tent right now.
Lomar finally decides to pack up and leave, unable to shake the feeling that he has overstayed his welcome. The mysterious howls, the movement around his tent, and the strange behavior of his dog all add up to an experience that he cannot explain. Was it a known predator, a human trespasser, or was it something else? Perhaps even the legendary dogman that so many have claimed to encounter in remote wilderness areas? As he makes his way out of the woods, the oppressive feeling lingers. Even as he reaches his vehicle, the paranoia remains. For Lomar, this trip was meant to be just another investigation, another thrilling adventure. Instead, it became an encounter with something unknown, something that made even an experienced explorer like him question whether he had gone too far. Although there's not much evidence captured on video, many people believe that Lomar truly caught something paranormal that night, but what do you think about this? Let me know. And with that, I'll take your leave. As always, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Also, let me know your thoughts on this video. Even criticisms are appreciated. Don't forget to check out more disturbing videos that will be on your screen in about 3 seconds. I'm out.